Welcome everyone, and welcome to today's webinar about our full-time MBA application. So my name is Carrie, and I'm the team lead of MBA Recruitment and Admissions. We are very happy to have our Director of MBA Recruitment and Admissions, Mr. Vasileios, with us. Vasileios, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Carrie. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today, and of course, with all our attendees who are joining us from different places of the world. It's great to be here. As Carrie mentioned, my name is Vasileios. I am currently the Director of Recruitment and Admissions at RSM. I've been with the school now for quite a number of years. Every year I have the opportunity to discuss with a lot of candidates. I visit a lot of different countries around the world, so I do also meet candidates in their home countries, but we also have quite a few people who do visit us here in the Netherlands. So it's a great pleasure to be here. I would love to try and answer as many questions as you have for me today. So again, I'll try to give you my insights, having worked within the industry for over 15 years. So yeah, Carrie, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much, Vasileios. I'm sure everyone is really excited about the agenda of today, and you may have a lot of questions as well. So let me remind you, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A box. I will be monitoring the Q&A box, and I will suggest you to make your questions a bit more general, because if your questions will be beneficial to a larger audience, it will be more likely to be picked up. If you have very specific questions or questions that are related to your personal circumstances, we welcome you to drop us an email and explain it so that we can maybe contact you and help you in your personal way. So let's see our agenda of today. We have a full agenda. First of all, we are going to talk about the application process of the MBA, like what should you be preparing. For example, what are the eligibility, the criteria, what are the admissions requirements, and then what kind of documents you need to prepare. There are also different new items here, so I would suggest you to pay close attention and let us know if you have any questions. We are also going to explain the BAT, the Business Admissions Test, as a GMAT or GRE alternative, since this is a commonly asked questions from our candidates as well. We are also going to share with you our new application rounds, because our application is starting already. The next class will be starting in January 2027. We just started our class like a week ago, so we are preparing the next class. So if you want to apply to the January 2027 intake, please take a look at the application rounds for this year, and you can apply accordingly. We are also going to share with you our new essay topic and some other application elements like Kira assessment. And then we are also going to talk about some finance option like scholarships and student loan. There are also some new elements there, so pay attention. At the end, we ask our director questions that we hear all the time. How do our students make themselves or show us that you're a good fit to the program? So besides meeting the requirement, like on paper requirement, how they can prepare the application to submit a strong application so that they have a higher chance to be admitted. And during the application process, they may also help themselves to be a strong MBA candidates to be more successful in the program. At the end, we have the general Q&A session. Of course, if you have any questions, I suggest you not to wait until the Q&A. Please drop them in the Q&A box anytime. If I see that some questions are directly linked to what we are saying, I may also pick it up and ask Vasileios right away. So let's get started. To apply to our international full-time MBA program, few things that you may want to pay attention. So first of all, are you an eligible candidate? What are the admissions requirements? How do you prepare your documents? When should you apply? Should you apply early? Should you wait? What are the reasons if you want to wait? And how do you apply online? First of all, let's take a look at the admissions requirement. I'm sure that this is also in our website and in our brochure, so I will briefly talk about it. First of all, you will need to have a bachelor degree. So we do not have requirement about what kind of bachelor degree. So for example, if you have a business degree, it's good. If you have an engineering degree, it's also good. If you have a degree in law, in medicine, in art, in history, we also have students and alumni from these kind of academic background. So at least a bachelor degree, you also will need to show us that you have 3 years of postgraduate full-time working experience, showing your career progression as well. So you can always share your LinkedIn, your CV with us already anytime before you apply for a profile assessment. You will also need to provide a standardized test score, so namely GMAT, GRE, or you can also take our BAT, the Business Admissions Test. And we are going to talk about this test more in details later in this session. Besides all these hardcore requirements, of course, we would also like to see our MBA candidates to process some soft skills, some leadership potentials, and also a global mindset. Because it is important that you understand that you're going to be in an extremely diverse classroom. I mentioned earlier in our sessions, we have 99% international students. Every year we have between 28 to 35 or sometimes even 40 different nationalities. And the Netherlands itself is an extremely diverse country. So it's important that you have an open mind to listen and to be open to other people's idea, to work with people that are very different from yourself. One thing that you may want to pay attention is about the English proficiency requirement. If you are a non-national of the EU, Switzerland, or EEA, then you will probably be required to provide an English proficiency score. We accept a wide range of score, a wide range of tests. Make sure that you complete this test in person at the test center, but not just online at home. If you want to know more about the details, for example, if you have studied in an English-speaking country, but you're actually from a non-native English-speaking country, or so-and-so, or what are the score requirement of each test, please check our website. We have a page where all the details that are listed there. If you have doubts or there is something that you want to clarify, feel free to reach out to us, providing your academic documents and also your CV. Then we are going to help you to see if you need to provide English proficiency score. When you apply, so please make sure that you have this score already with you, and also your GMAT or GRE, if you are planning to take the GMAT or GRE. And then we are going to do the evaluation according to all the documents that you submit. Next, so let's take a look at the process. I believe you can already have a feeling that we encourage you to reach out to us before you apply. It is a very important step because in order to make an MBA decision, you need to fully understand what you are signing up for. So having an MBA consultation with us is very much encouraged. Or sometimes maybe you want to have some email communications with us, at least have your profile assessed. So then you know that you're an eligible candidate. If you need GMAT, if you need English test, if you need BAT, etc. So I would suggest everyone here today, if you're thinking about applying or thinking about if you should do the program, is it suitable for you? Reach out to us. We can talk. We also travel extensively to different countries. Sometimes maybe we can have also in-person conversation to have a coffee chat. Then it's more like a 3D environment instead of looking at the screen. So then we can really talk to you and help you answer your questions. After you submit the application, first of all, you need to submit the application online in our Embark online application system. Then we are going to do a first evaluation. If you are selected to go to the next phase of the process, then we will send you an email with, for example, an interview booking link. Also, maybe the Kira assessment. And then maybe also if you need to take a BAT, then we'll send you the instruction and the link of the BAT. Then, of course, a very important part of the process is to have an interview with our interview team. Our interview team sometimes may consist me or Vasileios or other members of the admissions committee. Sometimes it may be an alumni. So you are very welcome to ask us questions. It's not only about we asking you a question. You're also very welcome to ask. It's a conversation for us to find out the fit between you and the school and the program, and who you are as a person, as a professional, and potentially an alumni representing the school upon your graduation. After all these process, then the admissions committee will review, have a final evaluation on the application, and make a decision. And then we are going to notify you about the decision. If it is sometimes possible, we will also share with you about any scholarship decision. Scholarship-wise or financial aid, we are also going to talk about it later in this presentation. So I promise you that we are going to talk about the BAT, the Business Admissions Test, as a GMAT or GRE alternatives. So now I'm going to ask our director, Vasileios, if he can explain to us the idea and the details of this test.
Of course. No, thank you, Carrie. And before I do so, there were a couple of questions trying to the English language test. So I would also like to add something on that as well. The admissions committee always reserved the right to request for an English language test. However, since last year, we are also obliged by the new Dutch regulations to request for an English language proficiency, whether that's going to be through a test or through an undergrad or postgrad degree that the candidate holds. So that is why now this has been a mandatory element of the application process. Depending on the country that you have also graduated from an undergraduate degree, you can potentially be exempted. I have already posted on the webinar chat box the full list when it comes down to the English language requirements. So please go through that. Check where does your institution or your country belongs in, and then of course you're more than welcome to follow up with the team if you have more questions to clarify your situation. So you can actually do that. As Carrie was also mentioning about us meeting you on the road, I think as of next week we are going to start a new travel in different locations throughout the world. So I've also posted that on our on the chat box, so you can check for all the events that they will be coming up in the near future. So if you like to sign up for any of those events, please do so. In any case, going back to the BAT, I think a couple of years ago we had a long lengthy discussion within the admissions committee, the examination board, and I think it became quite evident that people needed a bit more flexibility when it came down to a standardized test. As many business schools, of course, we were accepting both the GMAT and the GRE. However, we also wanted to give a bit more flexibility to our candidates, especially those ones who, because again, all the candidates, they do work on a full-time basis while applying for the program. So we wanted to give them an additional test that they can do in lieu of the GMAT or GRE. Having said that, this is a test that is online. It consists of 2 modules, as you can read. So basically, it covers both communication analysis, critical thinking, data analysis, data interpretation. The company who is actually designed the BAT. They did base it off from the GMAT Focus edition, and actually the BAT came out earlier than the GMAT Focus edition. So it's quite close to the GMAT Focus edition. So for those candidates who have already taken the GMAT Focus test, the BAT is quite similar. However, the big difference between the two tests is the fact that for the BAT, you don't really need to prepare for it. Most people take anywhere between 2 to 3 months to prepare for the GMAT or the GRE. However, the BAT does not require you to do that. This is one of the biggest innovations behind this design of that specific test, that it will basically capture your skills at that moment in time without having even to prepare for it. Another difference is the fact that this test will only be administered to successful candidates after they have submitted their application. Okay, so it's really up to you whether you decide to submit an application with the GMAT or GRE, or if you haven't taken that test, if you want to go forward with submitting your application and basically requesting to do your BAT. If you go through successfully the first evaluation, as we call it, upon submitting your application, then, as Karen mentioned earlier, there will be a few steps that they need to follow. And one of them is for you also to get the invitation to do your BAT. Normally, you're given a deadline for about a week to 10 days in order for you to be able to submit the test. The platform itself, it allows you to prepare, to take 1 or 2 prep tests before doing it. We have a whole page dedicated to the BAT on our website. Carrie can share that with you or me, or myself in a few minutes, so you can go and read in more detail. We also have a video prepared so you can actually see exactly how the BAT works. There was also a question here, in case we have already taken the GMAT, is it possible to submit it but also take the BAT so that both results can be taken into consideration? That's not necessary. So as I mentioned, as long as you do submit an application with a GMAT or GRE, we will take that test into consideration. However, if you feel, and of course you can talk to us beforehand, if you feel that your GMAT or GRE were not, let's say, at a level or a score that you felt quite strong about it, let's discuss it. Because again, the GMAT, GRE, or the BAT is not the only thing that we're going to take into account when reviewing your application. We'll talk about that later on. I don't want to spoil the surprises, especially when it comes down to the question that we receive a lot of times: am I a good fit? So again, we'll talk about that in more detail. However, as I said, if you do decide to submit a GMAT or GRE, you don't need to do the BAT on top of that. So again, have an open discussion with your admissions manager, and they can definitely help you. There's another question here with the English tests, the IELTS general test, if that will work. Actually, for the IELTS test, we do require the academic one. So as long as you have the academic and your score is over 6, then you are absolutely fine. So a lot of times people get confused. Yes, there is the general IELTS or the academic IELTS. According to the Dutch rules and regulations, we need to receive the academic IELTS. So again, I hope I was able to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Vasileios, for your detailed explanation about the English test and the BAT. I have put down the link for the BAT from our website in the chat box. So anyone who wants to read more about it, feel free to take a look. And from the website, you can also see the score requirement of each test that we accept. So you can see how you can prepare your test for your application. After talking about the BAT, we can take a look at the application ranks. So this is quite new because we also just published it. Was it yesterday on our website? So this is the latest information that we have now. For the next intake, which is starting in January 2027, we have 6 application ranks. So the first rank is closing very soon in a month, like in February. And then we have another one almost like every 2 months. There is the last one is November the 10th. However, I want to remind our audience here is that the round in November is primarily for applicants who do not need a student visa to come to the Netherlands, and also they don't need a residence permit. So for human language, it's a lot for people. For example, if you have a European citizenship, or maybe you're either living in the Netherlands with your own residency. So if you want to find out the details, if the last round is applicable for you, reach out to us. But we are only in January, so you can also apply early. So we still have 5 rounds for all international students. So no matter whether you need a visa or not, all the other 5 rounds are definitely for you. So one may ask, okay, why should I apply early, or is there a benefit or a consequence if I apply late or early? So first of all, I think it depends on how ready your application is. If you still have to do your test, for example, then if you are planning to take your, let's say, English test in April, then maybe you can apply to the April round, but not necessarily the February round. Or if you have a lot of travel coming up, work travel or holidays, then you may also say, okay, maybe not necessarily this round, but maybe next. However, there are a lot of benefits to apply early. For example, about our housing here in the Netherlands, it is no secret that it can be quite a competitive market. So if you are applying early and register early, you may be able to be on the list where you can rent one of the reserved rooms for our MBA students. Of course, this is usually a first come, first served basis. But if you apply very late, then I can tell you that all rooms will be booked already. So this is one. And also there are also some benefits. We will talk about it later. Also why it's better for you to apply early. Normally students may take, if they are very quick, it takes them a week to be able to submit an application. I would say this is really good speed, but some students may take maybe a few weeks for them to prepare the essays, to prepare the professional references. You can already start talking to us, and then we will advise you how you can prepare your application. So we are going to also talk about some application elements, especially the new essay topic, which is part of the documents that every applicant will need to write. So we can take a look. It's about 500 words that you are going to write, and the essay topic is very linked to our mission statement. Vasileios, would you introduce this new essay topic with our audience today?
Yes, for sure. No, thanks, Carrie. And just to quickly add something more on what Carrie was just describing regarding the application rounds. Indeed, someone can go through and finish up an application within a week. We've seen candidates taking months to also complete an application. So I think it boils down to really how you want to deal with your application. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer on how fast or when exactly you need to apply. Of course, as you go through your planning for an MBA, as Karen mentioned in the beginning of our discussion, it does take some time to think thoroughly and make your decisions. What I would highly recommend you, since of course you join us this today for our webinar, open up your online application form in our system. There's nothing binding you to us. So just open up the application, see what is actually required for you in order for you to submit an application, and you can gradually start working on it. And at some point, you might decide, you know what, this is not really for me. That's absolutely fine. Again, as I said, opening an application is not binding you to the school. So again, up to you to decide. Now, the two of the very important application elements, right, outside of the documents that you need to submit from your degree, your passport, your CV, resume, etc. A very important component is your essay. So what we're asking you to write is one essay, and this is a new topic for this new recruitment cycle. It's still very much related to our mission statement, to our mission as a school, being a force for positive change in the world. So we used to have two essay topics that people could choose one or the other, but now we have basically combined those two into one. So as I mentioned, our mission as a school is for us to be a force of positive change in the world, right? So the question is, how have you done this so far during your life or your career? And what does being a force of positive change uniquely mean to you during your MBA and after graduation? I think it is very important to understand that first and foremost, there's no right or wrong answer in this essay, okay? This is your unique story. A lot of times we get a question, okay, how sort of like big the example I'm going to share with you should be, right? And I always say, like, maybe you've been a forceful positive change for one person in your life. Like, you helped by tutoring one of your friends during school, and you helped them in their education. You helped them to grow, to develop. This is a clear example of being a positive change, right? Some other students might have a sort of bigger example to share that what they have achieved or what they did had an impact to their town, to the city, or even to their country. That's also fine. But again, every little thing can count towards showing how you embrace this also as an individual, as a person. And we also now asking you to think, coming into the program at RSM, how do you perceive that the program, that the experience that you're going to have within the MBA for that 1 year at our school with your fellow classmates is going to help you during and after your graduation to be a force of positive change in the world. We as a school, we are here to develop, to grow influential leaders for the future, people who do want to bring positive impact around them. And as I always say, and this is something that I've also taught within my MBA, because I have also completed my MBA at RSM a few years back. When we're talking about positive change, it's not anymore only about sustainability. It's not only about how sustainable you are towards the environment. It includes a lot of different things. It includes on how my actions as a business person, as a leader, what sort of an impact this is going to have in the business, in the different stakeholders, anywhere from my customers to the environment, to everyone. So this is why we're asking you as well to think in a forward way. Take the time to write it. As Carrie mentioned, it's about 500 words. If it's 400 or 600, we're not going to say, oh my God, you're penalized. No. But you also need to think and consider that within the MBA, your professor might ask you to write an essay, an assignment up to 1,000 words. And sometimes they can be quite strict with the 1,000, right? So you need to be able to share your story in the described length of, in this case, of 500 words. So very important to take that into account as well. Share your story, be to the point. And as I said again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is your story, okay? The second element is the Kira assessment. So the Kira assessment, basically, it's a video assessment that is also going to be administered to people, to candidates who have successfully passed the first evaluation of their application, right? So you will be receiving a link to our Kira platform. This is also an external platform that we are using, where you will be asked to complete 3 questions in total. 2 of them are in a video format, and 1 is a written task. You have the opportunity, you have the ability to practice with a few questions before you're able to take the test itself. However, the moment you're ready to take the test, you do it in one go. So it's super important to be at a place with a stable internet connection. So that's super important. Please do not use your phone or a tablet. So please use your laptop for it, right? We've had cases of people who tried to do it through their phones or their tablets, and things didn't really work out. Because something to keep in mind is that once you start the test, you should not refresh the page, because everything will be recorded in the assessment itself. So then your assessment can come back to us as shown as flagged because you tried to refresh or you did something that you were not supposed to do. So the first 2 questions are in a video format. So a pre-recorded video will pop up. And actually, I would like to once again thank our alumni that they had agreed to be recorded. So one of our alumni is going to be asking you a question. The moment the question ends, the video ends, you get 30 seconds to think, and then you get a minute and a half to basically reply, as the video now is going to be recording your answer. Moment is done. The second question is going to pop up, same format. The video ends, 30 seconds for you to think about your answer, a minute and a half to reply. I see here that somebody is facing issues with hearing me. I hope I'm still audible. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I hope the rest as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see here people saying that I am audible, so that's great. All right. So this is the second question, and then once these 2 questions are done, you get a written task. So the written task basically gives you a scenario where you will need to communicate via an email something very important within your organization. You get in total about, if I remember correctly, about 8 minutes in order for you to think about your answer, and then you can simply type your answer within the platform. Something very important that we also mention, of course, when we do send out the invite to the Kira assessment, please do not use AI through this assessment. AI is everywhere around us. I think also as a school, we do embrace it within the program. There will be professors who actually are going to say to you, please use it, because then you can also see the limitations of AI, or you can also use it as a tool. However, as part of our Kira assessment, we say, please do not use it. For the reason being, we really want to see your unique responses, okay? This is it. Think about the following scenario. When you are in the class, and a lot of times people ask me as well, why do we have the Kira assessment? And I say, the Kira assessment basically mirrors, up to a certain degree, a situation within your MBA class. So your professor or one of your fellow classmates might ask you a question. Trust me, you won't have 15 minutes to think about your response. Most of the times you get a few seconds. Actually, here we give you a full half minute, right, to think about your response. So then within your classroom, you're not going to have AI to help you in basically responding. So it's going to be your unique response to the question that you have received from one of your fellow peers or your professor. So that is extremely crucial, not to use AI as part of your assessment. Okay. We do have also the platform does use tools in order to detect AI usage. But please, again, as I said, applying for an MBA, this is for your own growth, for your own development and learning. So again, trying to be as unique as possible. So I think that's extremely important to keep in mind. So those were the two additional, let's say, application elements that, we really wanted to discuss in more length.
Thank you so much, Vasileios. It's really detailed. You explained a lot of these two elements, and we really appreciate it. Some of our applicants have questions about the new essay, because I think in the online application, we can see that it is now only the new topic available. Does it mean that the previous topics are not accepted anymore? What if people who have already written the essay according to the old topic, but they have not submitted the application yet? How would you advise them?
Yeah, that's a very good question indeed. The new, let's say, application cycle opened up officially a few days ago, but I do understand, and I do know that there are people who already had their applications open previously. So from that perspective, if you have already written the essay beforehand, don't worry about it. You can still submit the old version. We are also able to see on a time stamp within the application portal when exactly did you open up your application. So for people who are going to open their application today, they will see the new topic. All right. But for people who had an open application, let's say even back in December, or we did have people who have been working for next year's application even back in November, and they already took the time and effort to write the old essay, I think for the time being, again, for this particular case, we should be able to accept the older version. And as I mentioned, the essays that we had up to this time, they were pretty much like similar to the one topic that we have now. But so just to clarify, before, the first essay was give us an example of how you have already been a force of positive change. And the second essay was asking you, how do you think that the MBA is going to prepare you to become a force of positive change in the future? So as you can see now, we have combined those two into one. All right, which I think gives a bit more substance into your answer, because a lot of times people were also struggling between the two, which one is better. So that's why we decided now to combine. So again, just to wrap it up, if you have already written the older version, then it should be fine. You can submit that, and we'll take that into consideration without any issues, without impacting the outcome of your application.
Great. Thank you so much, Vasileios. I think it also helps a lot of students, a lot of candidates to prepare the next part of the application so they don't have to rewrite the essay. So it's great to see we have such flexibility. So we have been talking a lot about the application criteria, process, documents, etc. Next, we are going to move to another very interesting topic. It's about financial aid. So we are going to both talk about scholarships and MBA loan. Now on the screen, you can see the different scholarships that our international full-time MBA program offer. So please note that these are like partial and limited scholarships. If anyone is given a scholarship or awarded a scholarship, it will be one scholarship. So which means that we don't give multiple scholarships. But trust us, when the MBA Award Committee considered any candidates for scholarship opportunity, we would review all the elements that is mentioned, if not more. And then when we make a decision, we will award the scholarship to the candidates who fits the description the best. So this is how we decide what scholarship our students are going to get. You can see quite a list here on the screen, like diversity or merit-based, foster positive change, women in leadership, dean's assistants, alumni lifelong learning, etc. There is one scholarship for those who have been following our website for a while. You probably see this is new, is Entrepreneurial Impact Award. Vasileios, would you like to tell us a little bit about this scholarship?
Yes, of course. No, I think over the last few years, we have seen an increase in our applicants coming also from an entrepreneurial background. So we really wanted to be able to capture that as well, to be part of the scholarships that we are going to be able to award. So that particular one is awarded to candidates who have created meaningful impact through entrepreneurship, right? They can be selected based on their track record of launching or leading ventures, driving business growth, or contribute to solutions that address real world challenges. And again, as I mentioned earlier, also about the example. We're not looking for people who have been running businesses that they generate, let's say, millions and millions of euros or dollars or whatever the currency could be equivalent to this in revenue or in profit. Again, it's very important that you speak to us beforehand, reach out to the team. They can also advise you based on your profile which scholarship you could potentially be a better fit for, right? And they can guide you accordingly. But for us, as I mentioned as well, it's quite important that we added one more scholarship that it can capture a group of people that we have definitely seen a significant increase over the past few years.
Thank you so much. While we say that candidates who are admitted to the program will be automatically considered for a scholarship, we also understand our students really want to show us why, the reasons that they deserve a scholarship or what kind of scholarship they think they will benefit. So there is also one new process in our application cycle starting this year. It's the additional essay. So if you want to know how to strengthen your scholarship opportunity, please let Vasileios explain to you now.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Again, this is something new that we have added this year as well. You can choose to upload an additional scholarship essay if you want to strengthen your possibility of receiving a financial aid through one of the scholarships, right? It's not a mandatory essay, right? So I want to clarify that. However, it is strongly advised that you do take the time to write that additional document. This document, it can be an essay, it can be, again, you can be also creative. You can create a small presentation about why you believe you are somebody who should receive the Entrepreneurial Impact Scholarship or any of the other scholarships, as Carrie mentioned earlier. This will definitely be taken into account while reviewing your application for financial aid, right? What you put into your application always plays a role. Every single element of your application would play a role in your overall in selection, whether you'll be admitted into the program, and of course, whether you will be a recipient for financial aid. So again, take the time, review the list of the available scholarships, right? And I think it is going to be it's going to be very important that you select the scholarship that you believe you're a better fit for. There could be a case that you might potentially fit more than one categories. That's absolutely fine, especially when you look into women in business or diversity or the entrepreneurship one, right? But we want you to really think, and when you actually write that additional document, we want you to really think carefully which one you believe you will be a better fit for. Okay, that's extremely important. I answered a question on this as well earlier on the chat. You have within Embark, which is the online platform that you will need to work on your application. There is a section at the end with additional documents, and you can upload more than one additional document. So sometimes people select this where they would like to upload some certificates or some additional documents from another education that they have completed. But this is also where you will need to submit the additional document in order to strengthen your application for a scholarship. Okay. There are a few open questions as well here. So let's, do scholarships require essays or are they automatically considered? You will be automatically considered for a scholarship, right? However, as I mentioned, we strongly advise you to use the additional essay to strengthen that application. How to decide which scholarship is most suitable to an individual? Again, I think it also boils down to you to really be able to self-reflect and see exactly where you will fit better. There's some categories that you will be automatically excluded. I mean, the women in business, of course, is designed for female candidates within the business environment. The entrepreneurial one, if you're not an entrepreneur, you are excluded from that. But the other categories, or in general, again, as I said, have a very strong self-reflection and see, like, really, how can I also write that essay in order for me to portray myself in a better and stronger position for that specific scholarship. Now, mind you, you might put yourself forward for a specific scholarship, and you might end up receiving another scholarship because, again, the awards committee that has reviewed your overall file has decided that you're still worthy to receive a scholarship towards your studies, however, in a different category. That can also happen. That's also something that you can keep in your mind. If I understand correctly, the essay for scholarship must be targeted for one option. If we happen to be eligible for more than one, we are still recommended to position it specifically for one scholarship. Yes, that is indeed correct. As I mentioned, focus on one, but as I mentioned, again, the awards committee can also take into account that you might be a fit for another one. And although you did put yourself forward for, let's say, the diversity one or the Dean's Merit Award, you were awarded a different one. That can also happen. Carrie, back to you. I don't think I have anything else to add on this topic.
Yes.
And of course, if you have any more questions, just put them on. We still have a few minutes left for the webinar, so we're going to try to answer as
Vasileios, I think you mute yourself, but I will continue. Thank you for explaining about the scholarship opportunity. And of course, besides scholarship, many of our students finance their MBA also through an MBA loan. The most commonly used loan providers are Project Finance and Landwise. Of course, you may also explore other possibilities, maybe some banks, local banks in your own country, or any sponsorship like arrangement, maybe from the government or from your company or other organization that will give out loan. So it is common that our MBA students make their MBA happen through their own saving, some scholarships, and the MBA loans. So you can always look at more different options, even if you have multiple loan providers. As long as they allow you to have multiple loans, we accept it. But you better check their terms and conditions if they allow you to get more than one study loan besides that. So this is about the MBA loans. I think one will be the last question is what we hear often, especially when we meet candidates, is how to be, are they a good fit? Or if they are a good fit, how to show them. So we are admissions committee, we see candidates on a daily basis, we have a lot of interviews, so we also observe maybe different characters or mindset of our students that maybe we will feel that they are quite a good candidate, or maybe results shows that they are doing better in the MBA program. So Vasileios, would you like to share with us your experience, how you see a candidate to be a good fit?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Carrie, and I think we all receive that question from a lot of different candidates throughout every year, right? So what does it mean if I'm a good fit, right? The deciding to do an MBA, it is quite a big decision, right? I always say looking into doing an MBA, it's going to be a significant financial investment. However, the return on your investment, financially speaking, you'll be able to recuperate that within a year, 2, 3 after your graduation. Depends on what sort of a job you'll be able to land. Something that you will never be able to recuperate is your time investment, right? So whether you decide to spend a year, year and a half, 2 years, depending on the program that you select, that time is never something that you'll be able to get back, right? So from that perspective, you need to think extremely carefully about your decision, right? So the question about are you a good fit, you also need to think about this question in as like a two-way street. So it's not only about whether you are a good fit for the school, for that particular program, you also need to think, is this school or program a good fit for me as well? That is a very important relationship that you really need to think while selecting your school, while selecting the program of your choice. Now, when it comes down to how you are a good fit for a school, right? I think I already mentioned on the essay, for example, that we ask you to write, to be unique, be yourselves. As I said, there is no right or wrong answer in the essay. Similar to this, when you're coming to the interview, if you are invited to do the interview, I interview hundreds of candidates per year, right, across all the different programs that we do offer. And I always treat this interview as an open discussion, trying to get to know you better outside of the file that I was able to read. So the good fit has different dimensions. You can be a good fit on paper, right? Because you have a very strong academic background, some like a really good, strong GMAT score or GRE scores, some amazing recommendation, stellar career track, but everything is on paper, which of course, yes, it can open up the door for you to be interviewed to get into an MBA. But you also need to consider the interview itself. It plays a big role also in the selection process. So it's very important also during your interview to be unique. to be yourselves, to try and give genuine answers, be vulnerable, be ready to discuss about, I don't like calling them weaknesses, but the points for you to develop and work on. If you were perfect, you wouldn't be applying for an MBA. You are applying for an MBA because you want to grow, you want to develop, you want to learn new things, you want to expand your professional network, you might want to be able to move to a different country, you're looking for a pivot within an industry or a job function, you're looking for a lot of different things, right? So that's why I would say it's super important that your overall application is very open, honest about who you are. When you look into a fit, you can look into also, this is what we take into account, this is what we look into, and this is what I also, as an individual, when I do discuss with the candidate, these are the three areas that I will look into. I will look into the three pillars. The first one is the academic side, right? Like academically speaking, how sound are you in order for you to be able to go through an MBA program and to be academically successful? Whether you will graduate with honors or cum laude, that's a different thing, right? But we, from our side, we want to make sure that academically you have what it takes to go through the program successfully, because we don't want to set you up for failure, right? That's super important. In the MBA world, in an MBA classroom, you'll be able to see so many diverse profiles of people within a class. So that means that even from an academic perspective, we're not looking for something within a box, right? We have people coming into the program with an engineering background. We have people coming in with a business background, lawyers, medical doctors, you name it. But still, there's a common thread when you look into the academic background and performance that you need to at least meet a minimum requirement, right? Sometimes I get a question like, okay, yes, during my undergrad, I didn't do that well. How's that going to impact my application? And I always say, I'm not here, and we're not here to judge you for something that you did 10 years ago, right? Back then, you were 18 years old. You maybe wanted to have a bit more fun during your studies, so your grades were not the greatest. That's fine. As long as you can also have sort of like a story behind what happens. Or sometimes, you might have average grades during your undergrad, but then your GMAT score was really high. So you can also, in that particular case, you can, make it up for having a bit of a lower grade during your undergrad. Again, this is the first pillar. The second pillar is really about your professional background. What have you been doing so far? But also equally important, what is your goal post your MBA, right? And that's also where somewhere you can also get the answer how we as a school, as a program, or any school or program that you are considering could also be a good fit for you. Because if you're looking for transitions, for specific transitions, you can also ask the school whether they have the tools to be able to help you, right, in order for you to be able to achieve and go through that transition. Very important. And again, you might be going through the application process and you might have a gap in your professional background. That's absolutely fine. You can discuss and say, you know what, I took a year to travel the world, which gave me a completely different picture of the world. That's absolutely fine, right? And the third pillar, and I think for me, the most important one, is who you really are as people, right? You need to consider that the MBA, it's a very unique, it's a very special study, right? This is not just a self-study. You're not coming in, going into a classroom, where your professor will be giving you a lecture for 3 hours and you trying to stay at the back and taking notes, and then you go home, you write a couple of essays and you read a few books and it's done. No, the MBA is beyond that. The MBA is working with others. The MBA is learning from one another, right? That is why it's important that we understand you as a person much better. And these are the elements that we're going to be able to see about who you are through your essay, through your key assessment, through your interview, through your recommendations, right? So we're trying to gain a very strong, holistic picture of your entire profile, but also about who you really are as individuals and how you'll be able to blend in and work in a very diverse environment like the one that we actually have here at RSM. As Karen mentioned last week, our new MBA class started with 99% of people being internationals, coming from all over the world, coming from all different paths of life. So that's extremely important to take that into account. So in order for you to answer, am I a good fit? And this is the last piece of advice I will give you, applying to an MBA program is like applying to a job. Read about the school, read about what the school stands for, read about what the school can offer you and what you'll be getting. And you can also think about, okay, how am I going to be able to contribute, right? In the learning of others, right? That's extremely important. So we are running a little bit behind time, and I know there were still a few questions. So very quickly, there was a question about the average GMAT Focus Edition. Of course, more and more people are now taking that. Of course, the older version will fade out. The average GMAT Focus Edition was $595 for our incoming class, which is equivalent for about $640 on the older classic version. Let me see if there are any other questions that we can go through. Yeah, let's give it a couple of minutes for any more questions that you might have that you can post. Yes, there's somebody saying here, missed the first part of the webinar. Will be a recording available? Yes, we will work on the recording in the next few days, and this is going to be sent out to everyone who had registered for the webinar.
Thank you so much, Vasileios, for explaining so much about all the different elements. I must say also thank you for everyone in the room. You guys, or you all answered or asked really constructive questions. We hope that we have answered your question, and maybe if you have more questions or more things to clarify, feel free to reach out. You can submit your profile for an assessment through our website, your LinkedIn profile or your updated CV, or you can reach out to us directly through our email. So you can also see based on where you are located, you can send your email to the admissions team directly. Of course, sometimes we may cover one another's email, because if someone is on holidays or somebody's travel, then maybe we'll have another person answering you in the meantime. But please email us or submit your profile from our website. You can also download our brochure from the website to see all the details. So I would say thank you so much, everyone, for such a wonderful sessions. You guys make it super interactive. I hope that we helped you as much as we can and continue to support you in your application and your MBA journey. For now, we'll say goodbye. But before we go, just also want to remind you that we have some more sessions coming up. For example, we have sessions coming up with the academic director to talk about the curriculum. We also have a session coming up talk about GMAT preparation. We also have some sessions coming up about like the leadership program in the MBA program. So please check our website and sign up to other online sessions. We also have our colleagues starting to travel to different parts of the world. So please also check if we are in the city that nearby you. You can also sign up for a coffee chat to meet us. All right. Thank you, everyone, and we wish you a very good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.